Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Dan Mangina. Alex Ting will be joining us shortly. Today is, what is it? It's Tuesday, isn't it? Tuesday, June the 30th, 2020. So. 4 p.m. New York time. And wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I know what confused me. Today's actually my sister's birthday. I'm thinking, her birthday's on Tuesday? Really? So anyway, happy birthday, PJ. Hope you're doing well. Here comes Alex coming into the room. So she's getting here sooner than she thought, which is a good thing.
Nice.
But here she is. She's coming in. Hey there, Alex. How you doing?
Hi. I'm good.
Alex.
He's back. We've missed you. We've missed you on the show. People have been asking. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I miss you guys too.
Return to us. Okay, I'm going to stop singing.
Never stop singing. Never stop not stopping.
So anyway, the news is, and this was as of yesterday, 2 of the 4 apps are now done. We now have a PC app and a Mac app for the LOA Today show. We have an Android and iPhone yet to be finished. We're really close on those. I am learning all kinds of different ways to practice high vibration while dealing with this. I am learning all the different ways that Apple and Google can make your life miserable just trying to put an app up online. But that's okay, you know.
Do you know the funny thing? The funny thing in terms of putting them up on, I put the first track from my album up 6 weeks ago. And I'd even forgotten to check back for it. It took that long. And I saw last week, I was like, oh, it's available. I should probably tell people about that. I gave up.
Oh, no.
I hear you. It's crazy. Now, they do say part of it is because of COVID. I guess they're short-staffed and people are at home.
Excuses.
Writing software, so, you know. But, hey, the way I look at it is the good news. I actually got 2 of the 4 versions done and published. So
celebrating you, Mr.
Well, congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I'm not the only one with something to celebrate. Daniel's got something to celebrate too, because you got a new workshop series going on. You don't call it a workshop. What do you call it?
No, this is a 5-day challenge that we're doing this
challenge,
week.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I did. I mean, I tend to do I did about four challenges last year. I've done 2 or 3 this year in the masterclass. Mm-hmm. But the money game challenge was really kicked butt when I did it in October. And so I was meaning to do it again and I said, time worked out this week to do it again. So we've got over 100 people playing the game this time. But, the vibe's been really high. When I did the video, it was like 5 minutes, I do it live. I was high for hours on the vibe.
Wow, that's great.
For hours, I was high on the vibe. So
yeah,
let's see what we can do. The average manifestation last time was $1,000 a head. Mm-hmm. And the biggest wins were £27,000 and $18,000 that were reported. Oof. So let's see what we cook up this time.
In 5 days too. I mean, that's what makes it.
They both did that in 2 days.
In 2 days, really?
Oh, dang!
Wow.
People have already started since I opened up registration. People have already started getting wins since registration last week. Is
registration still open? Can our listeners sign up?
It's going to be a bit tricky, but keep live because I've recorded it in a way so that I can make it available.
Okay.
Later. I've specifically worded it and structured it so that it's not tied to Facebook and that it's it can be redone. So. But if people want something to do, I can give you a link to put in the show notes for my my money manifestation masterclass that I did a couple of weeks before that. It's 4 classes, about 25 minutes each.
Okay.
That we've made available unlisted on YouTube. We're going to be sharing it with my email list. But LOA Today listeners get all the special jazz. So I'll give you the link for that.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. So yeah, watch the link in the description for this show. I'll make sure that it gets up there. It may not be up there immediately. Just, Daniel and I have to kind of coordinate, but we'll get it up there.
Or actually, I just realized they won't be able to use it till next week. So what I would say is we'll put the link up for them to get my free video on how to be a harmonious money magnet.
Okay.
We'll give them that link, which is dreamwithdan.com/HMM. Hotel Mother. If they do that, that will put them on my email list. And when we send the email out, I think Friday or Saturday, that they can watch the masterclass next week, they can watch the masterclass next week.
Excellent. Okay, good. So you have benefits for being a listener. Congratulations, listeners.
Beneficial for you.
All right. And we've got another benefit coming. Now, this is one that we had a taste of last week, and this is something else that Daniel brought to us. Daniel is like the bringer of manifestations and abundance. But Daniel brought us David Strickle last week, who is a channeler of the stream. And both of the shows that David did with us on Tuesday and Friday were fabulous. It was very much like talking to Abraham. I mean, it's amazing how similar the thought patterns are. I guess it has to do with having the same kinds of non-physicals involved. People that are non-physical. I guess there's a non-physical way of thinking. I don't know. But the similarity is striking. Have you noticed that, Daniel?
I never really got into Abraham, so I can't comment.
Have a comparator.
I can't really comment.
Okay.
There's the two streams that I got into and love are the stream and the guides, the Paul Selig channels.
Yeah.
Different. Like I said in the show last week when David was here, David I find to be that happy medium between what I know of Abraham and what the guides do. The guides are more like, all right, come on, mount up, let's go do this.
Cut the crap, here we go.
Let's get to the upper room, bitches. That's the guides. Like, even when Paul's like, it's so funny because they'll be like, he interrupts. So like, if he starts having a thought that's like questioning what they're saying, if only Paul would stop getting in the way, we would be able to finish our teaching. Like, wow. Poor guy. He has to like repeat himself being badded up by non-physical entities. It's hilarious.
I don't know. I mean, if you're going to go to all the trouble to channel all this stuff, should you really be beaten up by the people you're channeling? Really?
It's but yeah, it's
well, they don't really have time for nonsense over there.
Apparently,
got time to do it. So.
But I don't quite get that because, as Daniel and I were talking about last week, they don't have time either. So what's the point? You know, time is an issue.
Facts.
So it's great stuff. David's just one of the loveliest humans that I know. He's just such a great guy. So humble, so down to earth, and yet when he flicks the switch, it's like you felt it, like whoom.
Oh yeah, big rush of energy.
Okay, it's on.
Yeah, there was no doubt about it. Yeah. Well, anyway, I've been stretching this out really, really long to let you know that David is now going to be coming on regularly. He is going to join Daniel and Alex and I on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, starting July 14th. So, Alex, you didn't actually miss anything. You're going to get a chance to come live.
And
it's just like, I get to ask the stream. I get to ask the stream. Ask the stream.
And David's excited too. So this is going to be good. I mean, it's like everything is coming together here on the show all at the same time. The app is starting to come together and be available. And we're going to have the Android and iPhone versions really, really soon. I just feel confident despite all the blocks and challenges that have been in the way. I've been applying every single tool that I know to not let those blocks and challenges get in the way. And I've needed every single one of those tools. Every single one of them. Usually about once every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But they do pay off.
Yeah.
I can tell you, they actually work. I mean, I'm getting minute by minute reinforcement of just how effective these tools are because it's really easy to start getting down on yourself when you have one problem after another. You keep applying the tools. Yeah, there's a lot of headaches and problems. I don't want to call them headaches because I'm not really having headaches. There's a lot of stuff that happens. It just doesn't matter that much. That's what's so interesting about it, you know?
Yeah,
like it's like you keep putting your hand in the flame and you don't care.
For the people in the audience that are thinking about putting their hand in a flame, please care.
Please care.
Do not put your hand in the flame.
Or
that was not our intention.
Don't at
Just
all.
because Lawrence of Arabia did it doesn't mean you have to do it too.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need disclaimers for our shows now.
Yeah, disclaimer as fudge.
Have to have the disclaimer of police at some point, but for the moment we don't have that.
Indeed. For the moment,
I have enough jobs on this show.
Certainly do. Yeah, I mean, we won't burden you with that one. I mean, hashtagging on social media is plenty. You know. In fact, in some ways it's similar, but
it is one ball of wax, actually.
It kind of is, right?
Yeah.
But it's good to have you back. I said that before, but you've been off for a few shows dealing with some stuff.
Yeah. It was one thing after the other.
We missed your energy. We missed your excitement. Yeah. So.
I missed you guys too.
Well, good. I mean,
I didn't have my daily dose of happy.
You weren't even able to tune in. That sucks. I mean, geez.
No, I wasn't. No Wi-Fi.
Why? What would we do without Wi-Fi? So.
Facts.
Anyway, I don't really have a topic in mind. I figured with those 3 announcements, we're pretty much done with the show.
All right. Well, I'll see you on Thursday. Bye, guys.
Okay. The only thing I can think of is, Daniel, last week at the end of the Thursday show, we kind of broached a new topic with 2 minutes left. I figured, why don't we pick up on that topic a little bit?
What was it again?
It was time. It was time, and it was how to understand creation. Remember, you had been talking about how most teachers teach it this way, that all of creation is already completed, and that creation, if you understand it, is really about...
I was talking about quantums. I was talking about quantum potentials.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between quantum potentials and like 3-dimensional reality, opportunity, and the fact that we don't actually create anything, we just connect to something that already exists.
Right. Which is the way it's usually taught. What's that?
What did you not agree with? There's a point that we didn't agree on. What was the point that we disagreed with?
The point of disagreement is I disagree with the idea that everything's already been created.
Yeah, I would have figured that would have been Walt's disagreement.
So I figure, okay, we have a little time now that we aren't waiting until the last second, so I could probably explain to you where I'm coming from on that.
Okay, let's go for it.
All right. So the way I look at it is this: we in the physical world. Well, first of all, I'm going to lay out a hypothesis and see if you guys agree with the hypothesis. We have been taught, and we know through the teachings of quantum mechanics, that time is an illusion. Those of us in LOA circles and broader also tend to believe that physical reality is an illusion. So my hypothesis is you can't have physical reality without the illusion of time as well. The two illusions work together. That really, trying to separate them would break physical reality, so to speak. The illusion would be broken. So I'm not saying that's really critical to the explanation I'm about to give regarding how I think creation works, but I think it influences it, and it references it, so to speak. Because since we have this complete intertwining of physical reality and time, and I guess you could say time and space, we also have all of that bound up and wound into language. And this is true for any human language. Probably true for animal languages too, although I'm not really fluent in them. But the human languages, especially English, every phrasing that I know of has a time element to it. Even the ones where we try to kind of get around time, like we talk about the power of now. That's kind of our way of saying, this instant in time, that's our way of kind of breaking up the time thing. But even there, we can't really get away from the time element, because when we think of now, ask any person, they'll show you a line, and now is right in the middle, and the past is over this way, and the future is over that way. So it's still on the timeline. The way we think about it, it's always in there. And we're so heavily influenced by this that we don't even think about it most of the time.
Good point.
Most of the time, so to speak.
Yeah.
So when I think about it that way, I realize, well, any way we try to express timeless type stuff, we're always kind of stuck because we're using time-based references, because that's what we know. That's how we communicate. that's how we think about stuff. Even when we're not thinking about it, it's in the background. It informs every single conversational point that we make. So when I hear somebody say, well, all of creation has already been completed, I realize they're speaking in the past. They're not intending to.
Yeah.
But you can't phrase that way without making it phrased in the past in some way. So it's almost like there's a little bit of margin of error there just because of the way language works. Mm-hmm. So I say to myself, well, if that's true, expressing it that way, why couldn't it be equally valid to express the exact same thing from a future perspective? Same kind of error, just from a different angle, so to speak. Example. So you could say, well, everything's about to be created. And you could mean basically the same thing, but you're using phrasing that's from the future side rather than from the past side.
Okay.
So once I think about it that way, then I realize there is an equivalence between saying everything's already been created and everything's to be created. Mm-hmm. And that's how I end up with the idea of, it's not so much I disagree, it's more like that I expand upon what it is that traditional teachers teach. Daniel's got that faraway look in his eyes, like he's weighing the saying, does this really make any sense, or is Walt full of it?
Well, full of it. It's just I can see the basis on which you're making your statements, and I feel the disconnect between the two narratives, and a primary one of them is collective agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally see time as a collective agreement that formed a construct that people tend to operate from unconsciously, but it's an unnecessary prison that people hold themselves in that holds them back from the full power to manifest and experience their world. So
unnecessary, yes. How? What do you mean by unnecessary?
So you spoke about, and correct me people talk about, if you ask someone to talk about it now, they talk about it on a timeline of past future.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the past future because they're not real anymore. The only thing that exists in reality is the now, that as experience it.
Oh, sure.
As soon as we move into another now, then we are referring to a memory of the past, not a real experience anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The same way that when we flick into the future, we are going into connect with a possibility for what could happen in the future. Mm-hmm. For example, none of you know what I'm going to say next. And yet in your minds, on some level, you're starting to call in your expectation about what I'm going to say next.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, you're connecting with a future possibility, because I could then just turn around and say strawberry jam and toast and crumpets. I could.
Mm.
And that is an experience which it pulls from the infinite number of possibilities as to what I could say next. I could break into a song. You don't know what I'm going to do next.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'd break into a song, though.
Sorry?
I said I'm pretty sure you'd break into song. I mean, that's just an educator's guess.
But even the song I just did, the statement I made about crumpets, they're now no longer real.
Right.
They only came back into reality because I brought you back to them as statements of fact that I made reference to in the now. Whoa. Or your memory back to it made it real for you emotionally, because when we refer to a memory, our mind doesn't know that we're in the memory instead of in the now. And so we can become physiologically associated to that experience, because that thought starts to trigger within us chemicals and hormones associated with that experience. Mm-hmm. And that's how we bring the past into our now. That's an aspect of trauma.
Mm-hmm,
the physiological experience of an event in the past is brought into the present because we've accessed it through the memory, whether consciously or unconsciously, and our body starts to react to it. The same way anxiety, much to your point, does the flip side. We start projecting ourselves consciously into one or a series of events in the future that haven't happened yet, and bringing the emotional response of that experience back into the present moment. So my first point is that time is a collective agreement that, yes, you're right, 9 out of 10 people are tied into, enslaved to that agreement. And as a result, we have a construct that society as a whole tends to fall in line with. But it's not. there are aspects of non-necessity to it. I think that as a construct, it does.
Oh, sure. Oh, I'm not claiming that time is necessary in terms of, being part of divine reality. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm saying that because of the way our language is structured, when we express things, we can't get away from the past, present, future paradigm because of the way the language is constructed.
Yeah, but language itself is also a collective agreement. There's a guy that I know called Nigel, who his whole work, he calls himself an Earth Angel activator.
Okay.
Wow.
And his whole work, not his whole work, an aspect of his work that he leads with, of my experience with him, is changing your language, because by changing your language, you disrupt your connection to the collective construct and start to have freedom to create your own. So he's got this whole thing that he calls virus words, that when he's working with you, your work with him is basically having conversations and him just basically disrupting your word and thinking pattern and the way that you operate in order to create a new paradigm for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And for him, the language is the construct of slavery that keeps people trapped in the matrix. And his whole work is breaking people from that paradigm. So I'm with you in relation to the languaging, but then you can break free from it by just being aware of what you're saying and the emotional responses that are being generated in your body as a result of you being a slave to that construct. So for example, when I'm working with someone and they say, oh, I might be able to do something, or I hope I could do something, I catch them and we disrupt and we change that wording, because by doing so, we're reinforcing an old paradigm versus taking the opportunity to break free from it and create a new one. Just the way you'll very rarely hear me saying, I hope you have a good day, or I hope this, or I hope that. Hope is a word that I do my best to purge from my vocabulary. And I use either I trust you had a good day, or I intend, I'm holding the intention that you had a good day, because it's more active. It's a proactive.
It's higher vibration, really.
What about have a good day? Now you're telling someone to have a good day.
Now I'm making a declaration. It's very, very different. Go and have a good day. Like I say, take and give care. Don't just take care, give care. Take and give care.
Okay. All right.
Again,
I'm doing it right then. Good.
It's another disruption, right?
That's unsettling.
But that, for me, when we go back to the original premise that we're discussing, which is whether or not everything exists or not, none of this takes away from the fact that the quantum model, if you agree with that, and it's perfectly fine if you don't, states that everything is happening within the state of now, although we experience it through the lens of the construct of time, and then in a series of nows through which we move through those scenes under the illusion that we're moving through this construct that we call time.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And I like that way of expressing it better than the way it normally is expressed, which is everything's already been created, because already been is a past statement. It's existing for our past point.
And the point that you said about already being created, and I get where that would be irksome, but for me personally, this is the difference between the quantum potential and a three-dimensional reality that I'm on the trajectory of. That's on.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right? Because I pull from the primordial gloop of infinite possibilities based on who I am. And that's where my work with alignment comes in. It's that manifestation, as I generally tend to teach it, is a matter of connecting to the GPS coordinates of the next now that relates to what I want to experience through who I am. Not by pushing and pulling, not by doing, but by being, because that's how we connect to those scenes. Scenes are putting in for us to be the next step that we take, the next scene that we move through as a stream of consciousness based on who we are now. And that's how we can jump timelines. Timeline jumping for me is getting into a new trajectory and lining up to a new variation of possibilities based on being a new alignment, a new vibration.
Which is fabulous. I love that approach. I think it's really, really good. The way that you talk about, talking about hope, you don't like to hope that such thing is true. I like to get away from things like already been created and replace it with creating now, or is creating, something like that. Mm-hmm. Because I think there is a tendency with already been created to basically disempower people unintentionally, but to basically leave people thinking, well, you really don't get to create anything. You're just playing around with somebody else's paradigm. Well, no, we created this. This is us who did this.
I see what you're talking about. I see the shadow.
Or maybe that it's already been done, so there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. Like, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Okay. Next universe. Yeah.
I think it does come down to, I mean, look at my t-shirt today. It's interesting that this is your choice.
Past, now, future. Yeah, that's right. I saw that.
This is today's t-shirt, which is speaking to that we have now.
Right.
We have now. Past and the future, they're, it's now. And the only place that we can start to consciously create is now, because that's the only place that we're actually aligned with the truth of reality of now. I can't create in a place that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So if consciously I'm trapped in the past or running ahead into the future, I'm not in a space where I can actually affect being aligned to the outcome that I desire.
Right.
And I get you. Yeah. People saying everything's been created, don't worry about it. And that for me is the whole, loss of free will. Oh no, this is what it is. Everything's perfect. Yes. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. It's a soul contract lesson. Blah,
exactly.
Blah, blah.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, everything is available now.
Mm-hmm.
And we are choosing from an infinite number of possibilities, not the ones that our soul contract connects us to. Soul contract is another filter through which we're able to experience a sector of reality or a sector of opportunities or a sector of possibilities. But we can, through how we're aligned, change what those possibilities are in our immediate trajectory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well expressed. That's good. And I think that's really what's exciting and fascinating about playing with the language and kind of thinking about different ways of expressing this stuff. Because now when we start talking about it the way you're talking about it there, now the possibilities open up. And you use the word infinite. I love the word infinite. I mean, again, we're kind of limited by our time paradigm because we think of infinite as, well, you never actually get there.
Yeah.
And that's just part of being in the non-physical world. But theoretically, we can kind of imagine that mathematics actually does this. They talk about limits. They talk about dealing with finite and infinite limits and so forth. But it starts to get pretty abstract after a while. But when we think about it in terms of a now that's just constantly churning, constantly going, constantly building, constantly, without any kind of a time element there, I get this image in my mind of like, you see these film montages where you have a whole bunch of still shots and then they get faster and faster and faster and faster until it's just blurring past the eyes. That's kind of what I imagine. Like there's this whole series of potential scenes going on and they're just going really flying past faster than the eye can see. That's kind of what I imagine now to be like. And that's where it gets exciting because truly at that point, it's open field. It's like create, start, turn your mind on, invent, because this is where the reality truly hits the road.
Question for both of you, actually, on this subject, but kind of off the subject. Where do you stand on deja vu? What are your thoughts?
Wow, I feel like we just had that conversation. No, I'm sorry.
Science has got an answer for that.
Oh, do tell.
I need my phone. My friend did a meme. I'm coming back.
Okay. Do we play the Jeopardy theme?
I'll allow him to leave for memes because memes are life. So. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
What would the internet be without memes? Nothing. It would be MySpace.
Oh wow! Did you just? You just went there.
Yeah, I did. I'll do it again too.
It's called a social media funny.
Yeah.
Basically reduced all of Facebook and Twitter and
all the social medias,
WhatsApp and so forth down to MySpace.
Yep. Remedial at best. I'm going to say remedial because I did learn how to use HTML because of MySpace. So.
Okay.
Well, okay, not use it, but copy and paste and put things in that I knew.
That's using. Coding. That qualifies as using,
Yeah.
It may not be a skill you really wanted to develop, but it was there.
Yeah, no.
I'm up to 21,000 followers on Instagram.
Oh, snap! Look at you go.
All right.
It must be the more, what was the word I'm looking for? Authentic photos.
Ah. Okay. You're a twat. You're actually a twat. Actually.
While he's pulling that up, Alex, I wanted to ask you, we were doing this kind of esoteric thing. What do you think about what we were talking about? Do you have any thoughts about it?
My mind's blown, honestly.
Blown?
I'm completely fried. Like, Daniel's talking, I'm like, wait, what?
Reboot.
Yeah, like, cannot compute. I'm like, what?
Needs a memory upgrade, right?
Yeah. I was like, I feel like I need like an outside substance to help me like slow my mind down to figure this out. Like, I need to like have my own personal blunt thought. That's what I need right now.
Well, unfortunately, Timothy Leary is not going to be a guest this week, so you're going to have to find another way to do it.
Dang it. I'll make some phone calls. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I think I found the account that he got it from, and my mind is being blown by what exists here.
So do tell. Blow our minds as well.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say Satan rules hell.
That's true. I know that's true.
Okay. All right.
I actually looked for that. I remember that when I was 14, 15 years old. I wanted to find out, is there a connection there? And there's none.
And do you know that nowhere in the Bible does it say you go to heaven when you die?
That's true, too.
Yeah, that's true. And hell, this doesn't really exist.
It doesn't say anything about hell either. Hell, as we know it, was a construct of Dante, the poet, the medieval poet or something like that.
Yep.
That's right. Boy, did he mess things up.
Kenny went to theology school for a while.
There's been a lot of money made on the back of that story. Somebody won.
That's true. Yeah.
And I don't see the brain fact.
Well, that's the whole point of living in contrast is, you mess things up and it creates stuff.
So that's how we're doing it.
You create well, isn't that what usually happens?
I mean, in a way, I guess. I guess I'm trying to live the other way around, but okay.
Well, I do too. I mean, yeah. I didn't say it creates stuff that you like.
Yeah.
I just said it creates stuff. It creates all kinds of stuff. That's what contrast does, Yeah. That's why apparently that's why we come here. We come here for the contrast.
That's what I've heard.
I thought I came here just for the fish, but
Well, I came for the lobster and mac and cheese.
Yeah, well, that too.
And then they put them both in one bowl, and I'm like, I'm ready to go.
You're in heaven, see? So there is a heaven after all.
Female anacondas strangle and eat the males after mating so that they can survive the 7 months of fasting during their pregnancy.
Are you reading Dipley's facts?
No, Uber facts. This is where he got it from, but I can't find the post. But basically, it said that deja vu happens because you witness something and the brain is looking for a memory to support it, and then it ends up like creating a glitch and it sees it twice.
Oh,
a glitch.
But I thought it was a glitch in the Matrix. I believed that.
Okay.
I did believe that actually, but now I don't know.
Yeah.
You've expressed that Matrix theory a few times. I don't remember if I asked you this or not, but who wrote the Matrix as you think about the Matrix?
Who wrote the Matrix as I think about the Matrix? I don't understand.
Well, the Matrix is actually a movie. That's where this concept comes from. It is actually a trilogy of movies. Yes. In which there is a society that's basically a computer program that is serving the needs of aliens who want humans as meat. Okay, so there was somebody who wrote that programming, and I'm wondering, in the version of the Matrix you're talking about, who wrote the program?
No, in the Matrix, it was robots that humans created. They ended up creating their own demise by creating AI, and then AI evolved and then was living on the sun.
You're staying with that scenario in terms of what you're talking about?
No, when I say glitch in the Matrix, I mean just glitch in the construct of reality, the holographic.
Right, but I'm asking who wrote, because the Matrix is software. I'm gathering that's from what you're talking about. It's software. So who wrote the software?
You've lost me, bro. I don't know what I agreed to.
Whoever you believe in is your coder.
I didn't say that I believe there was a coder, did I?
No, I'm saying for my answer is whoever you believe is your coder.
Oh,
could
yeah.
Be God, could be the universe, could be whatever.
I personally believe that the collective consciousness of reality is a thought experiment that went a bit wrong. Everyone just got excited. Wrong, as in everyone got excited and
nothing happened.
Have you ever read the Lucifer comic book series?
Negative.
No. In the Lucifer comic book series, God just basically disappears. He's like, "Yeah, I've had enough," and just dips out. And,
like on Supernatural.
Yeah, like on Supernatural. Like God's just like, "Yeah, I'm out." And when I read that, I was like, "Oh, maybe he was just like, yeah, I started this thing. I tried a little reboot with some water and a guy called Otnofishdom. Then they tried to call him Noah. I made a whole religion around it. I'm out." Yeah, I'm out.
Did you try turning it off and turning it back on?
Like I just kind of like when I look at hologram theory and my theory of quantum overlay, that everyone's things are just matching together. I think because they say that creation happened at the point that singularity sought duality in order to experience itself, so that it was the one thing that it didn't know, and then it kept splitting and splitting and splitting, and that's where we got density when that splitting continued. The people that believe in aliens believe that, or some of them, that humans, for example, are a result of alien experiment, because they were like, well, let's see what we can do. And then humans then creating a artificial intelligence, let's see what we can do, because we have that inherent desire to create. And I just think like what we would call God was like, yeah, I just kind of wanted to see what was, I don't know.
It's like I had a couple of toys, I wanted to play with them, but y'all just took it too far.
Yeah,
just
I wanted
a whole
to
nother
see
level.
what this is about.
I don't even want this dollhouse anymore. I'm out.
Yeah. It's like going on a first date and then she's like, yeah, let's get married. And you're like, bro, I don't even know you yet. Like, what's going on?
Hi, middle name first, please. Thank you.
Yeah, middle name first. What, is that what you want to call our kids? Yeah, I literally think that it just got out of hand. I think it just got out of hand.
Oh my God.
That's actually very similar to a theory that Robert Heinlein, the science fiction author, came up with, although his theory was a little bit different. His theory is that God, or Jehovah, is one of many gods, which includes Lucifer or Satan, goes by a number of different names, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's Odin, there's all the different gods, and they're all basically
the gods,
the same level. And then they have a god above them.
Yeah, that's the when you look at the I don't know if I want to go into down this rabbit hole with me. The Earth is round. For anyone that's going to try and at me with the flat Earth stuff, Earth is round. Because you normally find these people in the same camp. So when I was learning from my original teacher, and they were breaking down the esoterics. Let me see how much I'm allowed to say. When they're breaking down the esoterics of reality, basically, the model that I was given for planet Earth was that in the universe there were many life forms, and that some life forms, much like we have on Earth, sought to express dominance over others. So when you look in the Bible and see there was war in heaven, it's basically telling the story of when one such thing was trying to take place. And there were life forms on Earth, reptilian style life forms that were already on Earth. And essentially what happened was there was a takeover of a higher level, a higher intelligence basically had a takeover. And humans are in part a result of experimentation that was done in mixing their DNA with DNA of the existing inhabitants of Earth. Even when you look at the cycle of humans from sperm through to humankind, we live within a womb. That's a very reptilian thing. We have eggs, which is a reptilian thing as well. If you look at our skin is soft scales. If you look close, soft scales.
That's an interesting point.
Oh my God, we're reptile people.
And even so there are reptilian, our mammalian brain. We have the reptilian brain, our very primal brain, and basically different species of life form from other planets have done different forms of experiment. And that's why when you look at human evolution, there are gaps in evolution that can't be explained, like the jump from Homo erectus to Homo sapien. They can't explain it through evolution. And it's hypothesized that that's because experimentation happened again, and different people were doing different experiments. And that's when you get things like different blood types, you get different common traits from people in different parts of the world. And that's because different life forms have been basically doing different forms of experiment. And it's been also hypothesized by some who subscribe to this theory that even a lot of the racial tension is actually proxy war of the descendants of different warring interplanetary groups happening on Earth from their descendants. And that's why some people just can't seem to get along. So that's part of the rabbit hole.
Okay.
It goes much deeper.
The Heinlein theory is somewhat similar to that. It's
yeah,
actually
that's
more
what
similar.
I would say it's
actually more similar to what you were talking about earlier when you talked about how God had stepped out of the experiment. Except in the Heinlein theory, it's Satan who stepped out of the experiment. Because the agreement that Jehovah had made with Satan about how Satan was going to perform, Lucifer just got so fed up with being the bad guy. He says, okay, I'm done with this. You go on with your experiment. I'm out of here.
That's what the Lucifer comic book's about. That Lucifer just wakes up one day. He's like, do you know what? I'm done with this. And he moves to LA and opens a nightclub. And then they made a TV show about it, but the TV show's whack compared to
when did these books come out?
Compared to the comic book, it was these came out. Do you know what you would really love these comic books? The Lucifer series.
The reason I ask is Heinlein was writing this stuff in the 50s. I'm wondering if there's a connection.
Neil Gaiman wrote the Lucifer comic books, and he may have taken some aspects of it from there. Lucifer's just like, do you know what? I'm done with this. And he moves to LA, opens a nightclub, and then then God disappears in the Lucifer comics. God disappears. And so angels basically come and say to Lucifer, Amenadiel and a couple of others like, bro, come on, like you're our big brother, because he's one of the original archangels. Right. We need some help here. And then they go off and do some adventures, and he basically tricks them into creating his own universe. It's really, really great.
Well, it sounds way better than the show.
Yeah, the show's nothing compared to the...
It never is. It never is.
They just made it like a buddy show. Yeah. That's not even that great. And in the comic books, Chloe's a more central character. And Chloe's actually the result of someone capturing Michael and then doing experiments on him, and then it's crazy. I really recommend it.
No way.
It's dope.
That's nuts.
You'd love it. When I first saw the TV show was announced, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be, huh?
Yeah. Total letdown.
Really? You had this amazing content, and this is what you did?
The whole first season, I
was like,
oh, I know. Waste of time. And then I get re-excited every season because somebody from Supernatural ends up going over there and playing a different character. And I'm like, oh, I do want to see how Cain plays God. And then I find out I don't. I wasn't missing anything, is what I find out.
Yeah, it does matter to have the right script, doesn't it?
Yeah, big facts.
But yeah, in terms of the, what did you say the chap's name from the 50s was?
Heinlein, Robert Heinlein.
Yeah, so Robbie, his idea of the different things, because in this model that I was taught, you have everyone that has like a council, almost like the Starfleet. You've got like the thing, and some people are in it and some people aren't. And then they all answer to a higher thing called the All, and then before the All you have basically singularity. So when people are talking about because this is what I was trained on, when people are like, yeah, I'm going to speak to the aliens, like not all of them before you, bro. Like some of them eat kids. Like offshore isn't necessarily the best. Like,
true. Yeah.
And then, anyway, that's another thing. But basically, there's all an answering to. So when I talk to singularity, when I personally am speaking about God as singularity, I'm speaking about everything above all of this. I think sometimes we romanticize everything that happens at another level of density.
Oh, sure.
Definitely.
I mean, the Bible says there was war in heaven, like it was kicking off. You know, I can't wait to go where the lambs are. Bro, that wasn't in the Bible. Like,
lambs are.
Someone wrote a romance novel and called it like the companion guide to the Bible. Like, let's go, companion guide. That's why sometimes I kind of get down with the Hindus. They're like, yeah, nah, you know, Kali's doing it. She's wiping people out. It's like, did you forget the Old Testament? There was a whole lot of smiting going on.
Facts.
Let's put some flowers.
There were basically two activities in the Bible. There was begetting and there was smiting, and that was it. That was it. It was kill or bear new birth. That was it. There was nothing.
Even when you break down the whole thing, because I mean, I've got a keyword study Bible. That's what I when I was taking back through the Bible, it was a keyword study Bible where you see the English and then the original Aramaic or the New Testament Greek, and shows the actual meaning of the words, and you start to break down the stories and you see them in a whole new light. Like when they say the Immaculate Conception, it doesn't mean she was a virgin. That's actually not in the Bible. Immaculate just means clean. That's what it means. It was literally like the clean conception. So that was it.
Which has all kinds of interesting side meanings to that. But
no afterbirth, is that what we're saying?
So when you go to, like, I think it's Genesis. Yeah, when you go into Genesis and they start talking about, and the children of heaven saw the daughters of men and looked upon them and took them for wives. That says that aliens came and raped human women. And then what happened was, and then the sons of God looked at this disarray and came and made wives, and they were called the great men of old. So basically what happened is you had some aliens came and raped humans, and then you got some interesting beasts running around. And then basically some other ones were like, okay, we need to balance this out. Would you mind if we did a deal and allowed us to have some babies with you so you can have something to balance it out? And that's where you get the whole demigod narrative. Like Hercules, Zeus did a bit of rapage there, you know. It wasn't he did a lot of rapage. But then there was some where there was like, it was consensual, and there was some consensual romantical stuff. When you look at Aquaman, his dad didn't know that it was a superhuman underwater living being that he was making love to and creating a child, but that's what happened. But it was consensual versus. So there's so much more depth.
I have to say, what you're describing makes a lot more sense than what I actually read in the Bible, because that was so disconnected that a lot of it I couldn't make sense out of it.
Yeah. Even when they say, when they start reeling, when they did like, there was a whole genealogy. There's like this whole long chapter in, I think, Exodus or Genesis, where it's like, and this begat that and lived this many years, and that began that and this lived many years. It's not talking about a singular person. It's talking about a clan or a group of people. So it's not talking about, it's talking about like the tribe of this, or even the genealogy of this lived for 900 years. When they speak about some people as well, they're speaking about a school. Like Methuselah wasn't an individual. Methuselah was a secret mystery school. And you find, I can't remember which text it is, but that actually gets broken down in another text that didn't make it to the Bible because it didn't fit the narrative. So there's so much more depth to it. But then you get some people that I think manipulate the depth of it in order to create more confusing narratives, whether it's to fit their own agenda or because they want to sell a $2,000 program where they teach you the secrets of Nut or whatever. But really I think for me, and I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live about this before because I'm going to go in a second to go and do the challenge. So I will leave it on this note, is that all of this stuff really can start to become a thing that only serves distracting us from what really matters, which is who am I here and now? What am I vibrating at? And what do I desire to create? Because we can sit here for 2 days. I can give you loads more stuff about this. We can talk about whether it's round or whether it's flat, whether it's time real or whether it's not. Am I of the genealogy of Sirius B or Andromeda because I believe myself to be a starseed? Who cares, bro? Are you deliberately creating your life, yes or no?
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
All this stuff now with the race tensions. Is it all lives matter or Black Lives Matter? Why are they separating it? Are you a Karen or not? Should I wear a face mask or not? Is coronavirus real or not? Bro, are you deliberately creating your life? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And why are you so concerned about what someone else is believing versus just expressing and manifesting a life that serves you based on what you believe?
Which, by the way, is why we came here in the first place.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people, even those that are seeking to do there's a woman that I follow on Facebook, and every day she's being, you're all sheep. This is a libertarian agenda.
Oh, one of
blah,
those.
blah, 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 blah. It's fake. Well, for some people, it's real, you know. They're in fear, you know. And so for me, for example, I wear my face mask when I go out and about. I don't wear it at home because I don't really, it's not that I don't believe coronavirus is real. I believe it is very real. But I also believe that I can only be affected by it disempoweringly if I surrender myself to it disempoweringly. Go back to the picture. Come and say hello.
Total agreement. Absolutely.
You're going to be on a video.
Hi, guys.
Hey there.
Hi.
Congratulations, by the way, Olga.
Thank you.
So yeah, I can only be affected by it if I'm aligned with the outcome of being affected by it in a disempowering way. Mm-hmm. So if I take care, if it's raining, wear your raincoat. One of my favorite lines from the guides. If it's raining, wear your raincoat. Mm-hmm. Reality's happened. There is something happening. Mm-hmm. And if I take the care to make sure my immune system is legit and taking proper caution, then I'm all right. I don't need to be in fear. Any action taken in fear isn't going to have a positive outcome anyway, regardless. Wear your face mask all you want and take any vaccine you want. If you're in a space of fear, you're not going to have a positive outcome. Simple.
One of my favorite themes that the stream was voicing last week, particularly on the Friday program, was how no matter what no matter what you do when you come into this life, stuff's going to happen that you don't like. It's just going to happen, you know. So deal with it, and decide how you're going to respond, and then respond, you know. Yeah. Instead of getting all wrapped up in, oh my God, something else terrible is about to happen. I can't make that. How do I disempower that? How do I take it away and make it go away through the law of attraction?
Well, the thing is, if you're so caught up in what other people are doing, you're not going to be in a space where you can actually do anything about it anyway.
True.
So anyway, and the only place to do that is now. All right, folks, I've got peace out. Much love. I'm going to catch you on the Thursday.
Absolutely. Right. Good luck with the challenge. Let us know what happens. Give us more details on Thursday about it. I
will do. We should have some wins. I mean, we had wins from last week. I think the biggest reported to me so far is $1,500.
Nice. Start.
We'll see. But the funny thing is that the challenge is just about manifesting 10.
$10?
Or £10, depending on your currency.
Yeah, depending on your currency. But off the back of that, people are manifesting thousands and tens of thousands because it's not about the amount, it's about the alignment. And when you're aligned, when you open the door, whatever's in your vortex, what we're really doing with the challenge is teaching people how to move the stuff out of the way of the vortex and let it drop out.
Yeah. Which is really cool. That eliminates a whole bunch of questions about, well, okay, what if I'm putting limits on and so forth? Don't worry. Let go of all that. It's not that big of a deal. So,
but if people do want to learn more about the principles behind it, I've done a free video on the basics of it, dreamwithdan.com HMM. And then they'll be able to get access to the masterclass when it comes. It's available again next week.
All right.
I'll make sure I'll include that in the links. So we'll catch you again on Thursday. Good luck with the group.
Great to have you back, Alex.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
It is great to have you back too. I mean, it is. The energy is always better. In fact, I would have liked last Tuesday, because Dan mentioned how when the stream kind of hooked in, when David made his connection to the stream, there was a visceral improvement in energy level. We were already pretty high vibe at that point because I was really excited. I was at a very high excitement level just having him on the show.
Right.
You know, but even at the point of introduction, it went up another 5 notches.
Wow.
And it was abrupt. It was very dramatic, very quick, and kind of knocked me off my game. I mean, you're the only one who hasn't heard this so far. All the listeners have heard it. Most of the co-hosts have heard this. But I was at a loss for words. I couldn't think of a first question. I was so knocked off. Seriously.
Get out of here.
I'm not kidding. I couldn't think of a question. And I kind of stumbled for a few seconds. And then I remembered a question that I had in mind for asking Abraham, because I did go to that Abraham workshop and I never ended up putting my hand up to try to get the question asked. But I kind of held on to the question. I said, well, I know that question. I know how to word that one. So I'll give that one as my first question. Unrealizing that it turned out I set off a firestorm of discussion among David's group, which was a good thing, I guess. But
Oh.
that's probably why the question had haunted me for so long. But anyway, there was this huge energy raise, and it happened again on Friday, but it was different on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking a couple of people have suggested this might have been the case. I'm thinking it was more of I was ready for it. I kind of expected it.
Yeah.
And so on Friday, it felt like it was just sort of a gentle raising.
Yeah.
We're just going to sigh into a better vibration.
I like it.
But both ways, I mean, I'm looking forward to when
I'm
when
very
they're on
excited to meet
in 2
the
weeks.
stream.
'Cause I want to know what your response is going to be to that experience of what it's like when David comes on. Are you going to, first of all, will you feel a raise in vibration? And if you do, what's it going to be like?
Show.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, in fact, I would like to know if any listeners felt that. Was it just those of us who were directly involved in the Zoom, or were listeners feeling that too? Because I mean, energy should really be going across barriers like that.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. If there's any listeners who had an experience about that, send me an email, walt@LOAtoday.net. I want to find out. Because I mean, I've never experienced anything like that.
That's crazy.
Even at the Abraham workshop, I mean, Abraham comes on. Of course, both David and Esther Hicks kind of do a similar thing. They have to kind of take a moment to get into character, so to speak, to start receiving the information. So there's a delay. For Esther, it's about 5 seconds. For David, it's about 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And during that delay, you're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen, right? If you're kind of on the edge of your seat, we do a little talking, but you're just kind of in that waiting mode. And then you get the energy surge. But when you're at the Esther workshop, it's even much more subtle than that. And I don't know if that's because I was surrounded by 500 other people who had 500 other vibration levels. And I was kind of, losing the forest for the trees kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could have been something like that, but, maybe just, it may be just proximity in a spiritual sense. How close are you? We're close because we were both in the same Zoomcast. I don't know. I'm making it up. I have no idea. All I do know for sure is that it's one more thing that's coming together for the podcast.
Yes. I'm
the
very
app
happy.
It's almost out there. I mean, it's half out there. It's out there for half the kinds of devices it can be on, not half the listeners. Unfortunately, the PC and Mac versions cover about 10 to 15% of listeners, so that doesn't really cut it. But
yeah, because everyone's converted to smartphones nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you can see it in the numbers. But that's okay. It's going to be good. And so you've got that happening. We've got David coming on. That's going to be a really cool thing. Louis D'Souza, who does the Monday show with me, he's already talking about coming on to join us on one of the Tuesday shows. He was asking, would Dan and Alex mind? I said, no, come on. Join us on a show. The more the merrier, Yeah. Because he's a big Abraham advocate. Talks almost all of what he talks about is exclusively from the perspective of what Abraham teaches, as opposed to other LOA style teachers.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be curious to see what his questions are. How he's going to ask stuff.
Because I'm only familiar with Abraham from what I learned from you. So
you've never actually seen a YouTube video or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
So you ought to actually take a moment sometime in the next couple of weeks and just check out, the first few minutes of a YouTube video.
Okay.
Just so you get a feel of what it's like.
Okay.
That way you'll have something to compare it to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what your take is too. It's going to be quite different for somebody who hasn't been inundated by Abraham.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to be curious about. How do you respond if you're not inundated by Abraham?
All right. Test subject number 1.
There you go. Yeah. So, all right. Well, first of all, thanks for coming back. It's kind of sad that we're at the end of the episode, but
yeah, a little bit. It's only an hour.
Yeah, it's only an hour. Yeah. Boy, there was a time when I was thinking an hour. Can I do a whole hour? Now hours go flying by.
Yeah.
That's why I do 5 of them a week. Otherwise, I wouldn't have enough,
Yeah, true.
So that's the good thing. And now it's going to be, we're bringing in one more co-host, and that's going to be fun.
Yeah. There we go.
So hopefully you'll be able to join us again on Thursday. Your health is going to be good, and you won't have anything get in the way.
Yes. Not even going to say fingers crossed like I usually do.
Right, because that refers to what Daniel was talking about. You don't hope for it, right?
Yes, exactly.
You just think
it just is.
It's like Yoda taught. You do or you do not. There is no try.
Oh, no. Oh, I saw a meme about that. There was,
you did?
Yeah, there was, when somebody had asked why are the Star Wars movies in the order that they're in?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3,
Right.
4, whatever.
Right.
And Yoda says, in charge of scheduling I was.
Yes. Very good. I like that.
I meant to send it to you and I totally forgot.
A good, happy way to end the show. So
Yes, I agree.
thanks for coming back. Looking forward to talking to you on Thursday. Thank you to our very quiet live stream. Although Jeffrey did send some love. He couldn't stick around for the whole show, but I'm sure he'll do a playback on the actual podcast episode.
Mm-hmm.
And Bosco actually chimed in with comment. It was an awesome show. All right. Thank you, Bosco.
Thank you.
So, and thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. You guys are not only growing in number, but you're growing in so many different ways spiritually. I mean, we're seeing it we're also going to get another visitor. One of our listeners asked to do a Louis D'Souza. Louis came on as a co-host, originally as a listener, and said, I'm good at this stuff. Can I come on a show and talk?
Okay.
And so I had him on with Joel Elston.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that show, Joel said to me, you got to bring that guy on. He knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I said, okay. So I'm going to bring this new person on with Louis. I figure if anybody could give me the evaluation, it's the guy who's been through it before.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's coming up soon. That'll happen probably in the next week or two. I can't say for sure because we haven't firmed up a date, but she and I are communicating. So that'll be one more, experiment, one more new addition to see, is there somebody else who fits into the mix?
All right.
That'll be good stuff. So thank you guys. Thank you everybody. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye everybody.